In your ELA notebook, turn to the table of contents. Now, we have done summarizing earlier in the year, and actually we've done inferencing too. We're getting ready to do these two skills again. But when we did these two skills earlier in the year, it was with informational text, nonfiction, science and history text. Now we're going to do these two skills with literary text. So there's your stories or fiction. So we're going to do, today we're going to focus on summarizing. So we're going to write summaries of literary texts, page 22 through 23. We're going to do 2 pages on summaries of literary text. Then you're going to turn to page 22. You're going to find this page and glue it down on page 22. Write page 22 wherever you're keeping up with your page numbers. So it says, a summary is a shortened version of the story. It retells all the important parts. Not all the parts, just the important parts. It's told in sequence. It can include the main idea and supporting details and theme of the story. It can be written in 3 to 5 sentences. It's not very long. You don't want to include too many details, just the important ones. So it says it's told in sequence, so that's like the beginning, the middle, and the end. So usually, in the beginning of the story, that is where you are introduced to the characters, the setting, and the problem. So you want to tell at the beginning who the characters are, where they are, and what the problem is. In the middle is when you're going to tell the events and the climax of the story. Like what the characters are doing to solve this problem. What events happen for that character to solve those problems. And then finally, in the end, you would tell if the problem was solved. Was problem solved? And how did the characters change? Now, Miss Bridges is a very visual person. While this is great, it's a chart, it does give me an outline of things I need to include. I'm a very visual person, and so I found another little anchor chart that I want you to also put in your notes. It's also on summary. So if you will go to page 23, you're going to draw this one. So you're going to write summary of literary text at the top. You're going to write a summary retells the main events of a story. Then you're going to trace your hand. Put your hand down and trace it. So you should pause the video right now to give yourself enough time to do that. And then we're going to write some things on this hand that's going to be like a visual for us to remember. Now, Miss Bridges is left-handed, so that's why she traced her right hand. If you're right-handed, you can trace your left hand. That's fine. Your hand will be, your thumb and your pinky will be opposite mine, but that doesn't matter. That's not the important part of this. So hopefully you've paused the video and you've gotten that down. Make sure your page number is on this page as well. It should be page 23. Now, it doesn't matter if your pinky or your thumb is over here, whichever thing is on the left, you're going to write somebody. Somebody on your thumb. So this somebody is going to hopefully help you remember, draw an arrow, who is the story about and where are they? Oops, where are they? So who is the story about and where are they? That's the somebody. If you look at your chart that you just did on page 22, that's at the beginning. The characters in the setting is who and where. All right? The next finger, you're going to write wanted. So this is, next to wanted, you're going to draw an arrow and say, what did the characters want? What did the characters want? So if you don't have those two down, you might want to pause the video to get them down. The next finger is going to say, but what happened to stop them from getting what they wanted? This is also, we're going to put in parentheses, the problem. Okay, whatever's stopping them from getting what they wanted is the problem in the story. Our next finger is going to say so. So is the part where you tell what they did to fix the problem. What did they do to fix the problem? And the last finger is then. I guess I'm going to write it this way. How did the story end? Now, in the middle part here, you're going to give yourself like a closed sentence. So a closed sentence is like where you fill in the blanks. So I want a different color for this. Blank wanted blank, but something happened. So something else happened. Then how'd the story end? Okay, so I'm going to use the example of green eggs and ham because I think it's a story that we are all familiar with. So if I start here, I remember these words. Somebody wanted, but so then. So I start here. I want to say in green eggs and ham, who was the story and where are they? So Sam, that was the main character in Sam. Sam wanted the Grinch guy, I don't know who it was. Sam wanted the Grinch guy to try green eggs and ham. But the Grinch guy didn't want to try green eggs and ham. So Sam I Am pestered and pestered and pestered him until finally, then the Grinch guy gave in, tried the green eggs and ham, and he loved it. All right, so we can use this to help us. Now notice there's not necessarily just one word that goes in these blanks. Okay, it just helps us to form our summaries. It's not very long, it's just the most important parts. So now you're going to do workbook pages 148 to 149 with the video. You also need to glue this down in your word study notebook. Several of you are not doing your activities in your word study notebook. You don't just glue this down and forget about it. You have activities you need to do. We did all the activities I don't know, like the 3rd or 4th week of school, and we went through each activity and I did a video for each activity. Those videos are still on Google Classroom and they're still on my YouTube channel. Also, under resources you need all week, it tells you what each of the activities is. So if you've forgotten the activity, what you can or can't do, go look at those resources for word study. I think there's 6 choices and I'm just asking you to pick 4. Pick any 4 things and any 4 activities and complete them. Some of y'all are doing activities and not including the suffix. Well, if you don't include the prefix or the suffix, you're not actually doing the activity. Okay? Whatever activity you do, you have to include this prefix or the suffix for the week, and these are our suffixes for the week. ER, OR, IAN, and IST. So, ER is a person who does something, like a speaker is a person who speaks. OR is also a person who does something, like a visitor is someone who visits. AIN is a person who's from a certain place, like Asian is a person who's from Asia, or Mississippian is a person who's from Mississippi. IST is someone who is someone who does something, like a violinist is someone who plays the violin. A cellist is someone who plays the cello. Please make sure that if you take the suffix off, you're left with a base word. Some of y'all are using words that aren't correct. For example, I'm going to write an example here. Water. If I take off ER, I'm left with wat, or wat. I don't know what that word is. Okay? Is water a person who wats? No. Not every word that ends in ER has a suffix of ER. You have to make sure that it's a base word plus the suffix in order to use it in your activities. If the base word can't stand alone, you can't use it. So make sure you glue this down and do your 4 activities this week. You just have to get them done sometime this week. And make sure that you watch the other video to do work with pages 148 to 149.